Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another episode of my weekly legal presentation where we talk about issues that have to do with personal injury and things that you may need to do and not know about in case you've been involved in an accident. Today, we are privileged to have with us a gentleman that I've known for a long time. His name is Greg Jurkowski. Greg is the owner and operator of Primo Auto Collision located on South McDill Avenue. Greg has owned Primo Auto Collision for 40 years. He has, in that time, since 1981, started his business, and he has got over 100 hours of certification classes in auto body management and repair. I mean, those are 100 certifications. That's incredible. Additionally, he's fixed over 14,000 vehicles since he opened his business in 1981. Greg, thank you for being with us this evening.
Thank you, Chris. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you pretty well. Can you hear me?
Yes. Everybody, my name is Greg Jurkowski, Primo Auto Collision. Thank you for that great intro, Chris, who's a great PI attorney. We do a lot of business together. His clients are always happy, and I appreciate the support so much. As he said, I started back in 1981, and we deal with any and all insurance companies. It was my high school dream to have my own high-quality auto body repair facility. So here's my dream come true. I just didn't realize it'd be arm wrestling in a friendly way and negotiating with insurance adjusters all day long to get the car fixed as perfect as possible. We deal with any and all insurance companies at Primo, but of course, a lot of them have deals worked out with mega shops that do the work cheaper, use aftermarket parts, try to move the car as quickly as possible to make the numbers. We're meticulous. We deal with any company. It costs you no more to use Primo Auto Collision. We will use factory parts, factory paint, and factory specifications on every repair.
So the insurance company may try to send you to one of their companies?
Quite often they do, but you choose the repair shop, not the adjuster. That's the law.
Boom, that's the law, like you always say. Now, isn't it true?
Yes, go ahead.
Oh, isn't it true that sometimes when an accident occurs, a driver may have to take his vehicle to one of the insurance company shops for an adjustment or for an inspection?
Sometimes you may have to go to their shop just for the estimate, like an estimate depot, or bring us the estimate they wrote. We will always sort through it and get the car fixed properly. The initial estimate means nothing to us. A correct final bill with the proper parts replaced is the final outcome. And what do you do if you get into an accident? If you do, we all get in accidents, no more than me. I've had over 20 accidents in my driving career. So don't ever park near me. That's a lesson learned there. But if you get in an accident and it's someone else's fault, call the police immediately. If there's injuries, call 911. You want to get that accident report to document it. And meanwhile, you take pictures of the vehicles and how they're parked, picture of the license tags, picture of the other person's insurance card. And if possible, have them call the insurance claimant right there while you're standing there. That's a great way to do it. If the accident's your fault, I mean, you can accept liability later with your insurance company, but scoot out of there and try not to call the police. If they call the police, that's fine. But if you can have the claim without a ticket, that only helps.
Understood. Well, as most people have known, because I've told them on the show, unless there are injuries, the only obligation that people who have been involved in an accident have is to exchange their information at the scene. They don't have to stay around. But I find that if you are not at fault in an accident and you think you might be injured and you've got some significant property damage going on, you should have the police come out to document the event, even when the property damage isn't significant. Now, isn't it true that you may receive an estimate from one of the mega shops or from some other shop where they're just going to evaluate but not do the work? And in the course of taking the car apart to repair it, you often find that the estimates are inadequate or too low, correct?
Hidden damage exists on today's vehicles more than ever. The factories build in collapsible zones, which are designed to bend and collapse, causing more hidden damage and more total losses, but less injuries because the car takes the impact, not the people sitting in the car. You'd think those old cars in the 40s and 50s were more safe than today's vehicles, but they're not because they're rigid. And if you hit something going 40 miles an hour, all of a sudden the passengers are going 40 miles an hour if it's a dead stop. These collapsible zones take the impact, causing less injuries in the accidents and a lot more hidden damage, a lot more totals. So we find the hidden damage and we measure the cars right to the millimeter to make sure they're repaired properly to factory specification.
Now, what does that mean exactly, repairing to factory specification?
Well, factories do have build tolerances, and the usual is about 3 millimeters per control point. We have a sonar measuring system where we get printouts of the unibody frame before, after, and during the repair. We want to make sure it's within 3 millimeters or whatever the factory specification is for that vehicle. A lot of times our repairs are tighter than the actual factory specs.
And the closer, or if they exceed factory specifications, then that's better and safer for the operator of the vehicle. Is that not true?
Yeah, it can only look better too. We're sticklers for making the correct gaps, making everything proper with the looks and the body lines of the vehicle, color matching. It all helps.
You once showed me about 7 swatches of the color black, and I
Yeah,
thought that was unbelievable. I can't believe how many blacks there are for painting a car, and you match them so carefully.
yeah, whites are even worse. But we do have the color matching computer that'll give us sometimes up to 12 choices for one single color code. And this is factory approved paint product that we use. And even Maserati uses the same paint that we use. It's high end stuff, but we don't charge any extra for it. You deserve the best. In Florida, if you don't use a premium paint and clear coat, you'll have a fading problem in a year or so. Florida's
Wow,
brutal on paint.
you take a lot of pride in that work, don't you?
Absolutely. I did all the work myself 40 years ago, and I got out of the paint shop 32 years ago. So we just
So
want perfection. Same simple goal.
tell us a little about the process. A person gets involved in an accident. They have had the repair estimate done or the inspection done by the at-fault party's insurance at one of their shops. Now, you would go and tow the vehicle to your shop, or how does that work?
Well, you could tow it earlier if you like. Then the appraiser will come here or deal with us directly with photos. With COVID, we've been doing photos and estimates for all the insurance companies, but we go to bat for you. We're the advocate to the proper repair and clear communication with the insurance company on the repairs. So if you wreck your car at night or on the weekend, we'll tow it in for free. Just call our phone number, push 0 for the 24-hour towing. If it gets impounded, we'll buy it out of impound for free. You don't have to pay anything. It can get expensive when they get impounded, but we'll buy it out and help you deal with the insurance company. You report the accident, we take care of everything else with the insurance company. If it's someone else's fault, or if you have rental coverage, we'll help set up the rental car. If it's someone else's fault, you are entitled to that rental car every time.
So, what happens if you're renting a car because somebody's caused your accident, caused an accident, and damaged your vehicle, and suppose the insurance adjuster says we're going to give you 7 days worth of car rental, but in the course of taking the car apart, you discover that the repair is going to be more like 10 days, 12 days. What happens about the rental at that point?
Insurance companies would always rather underpay than overpay. We simply get a rental extension, and it's hard to tell exactly when these vehicles will be done. So rental extensions are common with all repairs. You can't have an exact promise date because a $2 clip will hold up a $10,000 repair. Just not sure which car it's going to be this week. But the
And you'll
small thing will
contact
hold up that put together.
and you deal with the insurance company directly so that the driver doesn't have to deal with them, correct?
Exactly. We have a good rapport with the rental companies, and they email me, and I reply with the goals. And if I need to call the adjusters, I can call them and tell them what's going on with the vehicles and the clients as well. But we
Now,
guarantee no rentals paid out of pocket. Sometimes you have to watch if there's a maximum in your policy written. But if you're the claimant, they got to pay the duration of the repair. Claimant meaning the other person's fault.
okay. And, 14,000 cars. I mean, that's an amazing number to even think about. But can you show us a little bit of your work and show us some of the cars that you're currently repairing that you have on your lot?
Sure. Well, they add up after 40 years. 40 years. It's a long time. So we have 20 bays. So I'm just going to go within range of my phone here.
Of your
There's our
Wi-Fi.
unibody machine. We have a 2020 Subaru getting repaired, and we put it together while we're welding it, and then we're going to take it all apart and do all the rust proofing and painting inside. Here's the 2020 Subaru in the unibody machine. Here's a new model Honda Accord with our head body technician, master in his field. This is about a $6,000 repair. We welded in that whole rear section.
Oh, wow.
Hatch replacement, bumper replacement, electrical issues, harness is getting replaced. Here's a beautiful Mustang. Today's muscle car. Sorry to say, this one got hail damage up north. But we know how to handle hail damage as well. This car needs to be perfect. It will be when they pick it up. Here's a brand new 2020 Dodge Challenger, probably my favorite model. Hemi, $8,000 in damage on this. It's going to be perfect when it's done.
Show us the front bumper of that car.
Yeah. We've already replaced these sections in here. We're waiting for the hood and the fender that just came in.
And you're gonna repair it, and you're gonna match the paint and all that, huh?
Here too. And it's hard to see those adjustable zones, but they're designed to collapse this from there. Even the hood was meant to buckle right here, so it doesn't spear through the windshield. Here's a brand new Explorer that's finished. It's a Pearl, 3-stage Pearl. Here's a BMW, another 3-stage Pearl, front end damage. About 4,500 in damage on this. No, excuse me, about 6,000. That headlight. Perfect repair. Hey, Chris, we know this client. Here's a beautiful little Toyota hybrid in process.
That is
with the collapsible zones bent. See, we're waiting for the insurance company to come out and reinspect this hidden damage. This one had more than 100% increase on the cost. We can't really see it. They only write what they can see on the outside, and it's up to us to get with them on the damage on the inside.
Well, so they're going to do an initial estimate without even looking at all the damage.
Well, they have their auditors auditing their work, and if they write things that can't be seen in a photo, they might get written up. So it's up to us to take it apart, show them what it needs, prove it line by line with pictures and invoices or a personal visit, and we make sure all the hidden damage is taken care of.
So you have to be a real detective with that sort of thing, don't you?
We're good at it, and we do use that word.
You know what? Of all the people that I've ever had have their cars fixed by you, I've never had a single person complain that there were weird noises or that the repair had any problems with it. So all of my clients have been very satisfied with your work. And I saw that one that you just showed, the Prius, as a recent client of mine. And so tell us a little bit about this. What would constitute having to total out a vehicle versus making a repair? How does that work? How is that determined?
Generally, the insurance companies use 80% of value. If the estimate exceeds 80% of the value of the car, it's a total loss, because there will be hidden damage found afterwards. You never want to go over 100% value. Sometimes if a car is hit really, really hard and it's worth a lot of money, we had an Audi here, and it took about $46,000 estimate to total it, but we got it. But sometimes if it needs a structural total, they can go past the numbers and make a decision based on the actual damage and call it a structural total. But usually the 80% rule is used by most insurance companies. And it's up to us to fix cars that aren't going to have problems down the road. So if I think something's hit really hard, my saying is, when in doubt, total it out. It helps the client. You also have value to worry about. We fix these cars as perfect as possible, but you can't argue with the Carfax report that is released from the insurance companies. And a diminished value can exist on newer cars and exotic vehicles. And if you ever have that case come up, give me a call and I'll help out as I can.
Sure, we have diminished value issues in cases all the time. And, you know, I'm a personal injury attorney, but the property damage is something that I help handle as well when necessary. And the diminished value does come up with the higher value cars. That's really now. Well, suppose somebody had a vehicle that is totaled out by the insurance company, but they decide to keep it. Is that an option?
Not a good idea. I mean, you can have a rebuild total if it's not a structural total, or if it gets a certificate of destruction. It just seems like the Florida laws have become so hard to rebuild a total. I would suspect because so many body shops were fixing them poorly and then reselling them. So I don't ever recommend to rebuild a total loss vehicle. You might not be able to get a tag for it.
And I understand that you have an excellent estimator working at your office. Isn't that true?
Rose Rodriguez has been with me about 27 years, and she's gone for the day. She just left. But yeah, she's my right-hand girl, and she goes to bat with the insurance companies just like I do every day. And she has ICAR certifications just like the technicians. She doesn't work on the cars, but she writes the estimates, and she knows definitely how to work with the insurance companies, which is a skill in itself.
Absolutely. And I've dealt with Rose quite a bit of the time. In fact, Rose is sometimes my first point of contact, but surprisingly, you, the owner, are the first point of contact a lot of the time. And I think that's a fantastic way to sort of project yourself to the public. I mean, you're there, you're hands on, and it's your business, and that's fantastic. I mean, you've been doing it for nearly 40 years. That's an amazing number. 14,000 vehicles. That's very, very impressive. You must be great at what you do to be in it that long and able
Thank you
to
very
service
much.
that many people.
The Google ratings are a good surprise to us because we don't advertise. So when you have these Google 5-star ratings come in, I mean, we're right now 4.999. We're very proud of that. People travel for that. That's a reputation. And you can't remove a bad review. So in this tough industry that we're in, dealing with people every day, I like to be here every day and make sure things go properly. We're not corporate owned. We're not driven by numbers. We're driven by satisfaction of the clients. That's our marketing.
Greg, that is all great stuff. And I want to thank you very much for appearing on our segment this evening about property damage. And I started last week, I did the nuts and bolts of it, but I really am happy to have somebody that, like you are, who's so experienced and so hands-on with this stuff, really giving us some insight as to how this process works and how the insurance company fits in. And basically, my favorite phrase that you say is, you choose the repair shop, not the insurance company, and that's the law.
Thank you, Chris. That's the tagline. If you know someone going on a crash diet, call Primo Auto Collision. Thank you, Chris. And we appreciate your taking care of our clients and what a good job you do with the personal service, bringing personal back to personal injury.
Thank you very much, Greg. Have a great evening.
Good night, everybody.
You too.
Thank you.